Malcolm Harbour, British politician, Conservative member of the European Parliament for the West Midlands, member of the ECR, and chairman of the Committee on Internal Market and Consumer Protection. Mr. Harbour was educated at Bedford School, Trinity College, Cambridge, and at the University of Aston. He began his career in the motor industry.
I'm an engineering graduate. I studied engineering at Cambridge, and then I became a student engineer at what was then the Austin Motor Company in Birmingham.
In 1997, he was named as one of the 200 most influential people in the world car industry.
I can use my background in the work that I do in the Parliament, because we do quite a lot of work on technical and technological subjects. There aren't enough people like me, engineers with manufacturing experience, in representative politics. But more of us should be there, because it's such an important area to be in. I've done a lot of work on information technology, the spread of the internet, and mobile telephony, all of which are areas where we tried to set the right climate at a European level. Because that's important to have that single market there. We've helped bring down the cost of mobile phone calls, for example, in different countries. Because after all, when people travel from country to country, they resent the fact they're having to pay a lot of money simply because they cross from one border to another. And particularly here, Germany is just a couple of kilometres down the road from there. People are moving across all the time, and their phones are switching from one network to another.
Mr. Harbour is also active on the single market, on improving competition, on the communications legislation and the digital economy.
I think people have expectations that Europe is there to solve their problems and also to help Europe be competitive and successful in a globalizing economy, and one that has to tackle climate change. And all of those things together mean that we have to work together as Europeans to deliver solutions in those areas.
Mr. Harbour has been a member of the European Parliament since 1999. After the 2009 European elections, Harbour became a member of the new European Conservatives and Reformists group.
We have 54 members, which means we're among the mid-size groups. But I think the characteristic of this Parliament is that if you have effective and well-informed people, you can really punch well above your weight. And so, since we were formed last year, we've been determined to do that. Certainly in the areas that I work on, things like economic reform, we've been taking policy leads, we put policy papers in. For example, we put a policy paper in about the EU 2020 strategy, whereas the large centre-right group, the EPP, didn't do that. We've been following that through. And on the committee, we have well-briefed, very knowledgeable and effective members, and we make sure they're there and around the table putting our point of view across all the time. You have to work at it if you're going to be effective in politics. My vision of Europe is that first of all we'll work to make sure that the set of rules and regulations that we have around the internal market really work effectively for everybody. We have the right framework in place, but it's not consistently implemented. We have new legislation that we passed over the last 5 years that we have to implement, and that's part of my job to do that. And I think particularly we need to focus on the benefits for consumers. We want confident, well-informed, empowered citizens who will go out and take advantage of the single market. And they'll, for example, do more of their shopping online using the internet. They'll be able to buy more products and services that are delivered by companies from other countries. That ramping up of economic activity. And similarly, they'll be able to support greener products, because in things like labelling and standards will give them the information that they need to go out as consumers and support and buy the greener products and services, which again will be part of our mission to start tackling global warming really effectively.
Besides being satisfied with his work, Mr. Harbour is also very content with his family life.
I'm married with 2 children. My wife and I have been married for 40 years. My wife is very active also in Conservative politics, and I think it's important, so she shares my interest in politics. I have 2 daughters who are both grown up and married, and each of them has a child, so I have 2 grandchildren, it's a very exciting time to be a grandfather and also be working here in the European Parliament.